Abby Langford and welcome back to our summer interview series. Today we're sitting down with Matt Bumstead. Can you tell me a little bit about what your role has been in the Lubbock community before being at LCU, and then also about this new role that you've just stepped into at LCU?
Sure. For 20 years, I was with my family's business, which was United Supermarkets. And I started sacking and ended up as co-president and on the board. When our family sold the business in 2013, I opened a consulting firm. And then shortly after that, got a chance to come to Lubbock Christian University in a part-time capacity as CEO in residence. And I've been doing that the past 4 years. And God, for better or worse, maybe with a little mad scientist hat on, has led us into this place where I'm going to be the incoming dean starting in the fall of 2020.
That's awesome. I'd like to hear about a simple memory that brings you joy, whether it's from your time at LCU, your time working with your family, or just your personal life.
That's funny. All of a sudden, I'm thinking, thoughts are popping into my head then the way you're asking it is different than I'd really thought about it, even though that's the question that was on the paper. Okay, so will you ask it again?
Yes, okay, so is there a simple memory that brings you joy in dark times, whether it's from your time at LCU, your time working with your family, or even your personal life?
Any parent is going to say that there are countless memories with your children and with my wife, and those are with me 24/7. And so anytime I'm seeing them happy or just taking a walk, those are all great memories. I've gotten to have some experiences here at LCU of relationships with students where we're journeying together as they're learning about Christ. And those are experiences I never expected to have. So those are certainly some of the most powerful experiences I've ever gotten to enjoy, and the relationships we've built since then. Life is good. Every day is a blessing, and really I feel like every day gives me a new memory that brings me joy.
What brought you to LCU in the first place?
The School of Business had just become the School of Business, and I received an email from a member of the LCU family inviting me to join what was going to be the new advisory council, the Dean's Advisory Council. And I just had a prompting. I felt led to say, wow, that would be wonderful. Of course, I'm interested. And in fact, if you ever had anything else where I could maybe have a little closer contact with students, whether that's mentoring or teaching something, I'd be really interested in that. And before I knew it, President Perrin and Al Roberts and Dean Mack and I were sitting having lunch and just dreaming, and then here we are.
That's amazing. What a great group of people at one table.
Oh my goodness.
That sounds like a joy to be able to sit with all those people.
Joy and very humbling, of course.
Wow, yeah. That's awesome. So do you have, let's see, let me word this better.
Yeah.
What is something that you nerd out about?
I probably nerd out about way more stuff than any human being should. I grew up with Star Wars and Marvel, and so those things I'm just crazy over, but I did bring a little visual aid because I was 10 years old when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out.
Of course. And
so this is an actual Indiana Jones whip made by the guy who made the Indiana Jones whips.
That is amazing.
And I actually have two of them.
Wow.
I've got the jacket. I'm a good old fashioned nerd, and I love it.
Fantastic. I love that. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question.
Sure.
Is there a valley or dark time in your life that you've been through that looking back now, you can see really clearly the lessons that you learned?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. And that is the beauty of those times that feel, as you said, dark, like you're just trying to survive 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time. I certainly look back, and that is the beauty. I don't necessarily look back and say, well, gee, I'm glad I went through that. But I see the lessons, I see the redemption. So whether it's big mistakes I've made interpersonally, times when I let my emotions get the best of me and I hurt a relationship, whether it's at United, some times where maybe I was a little too trusting because that's my nature, and some folks in leadership kind of took things to a dark place and we had to clean that up, and I felt responsible for that. I just hit my mic. Or, when we sold United. I mean, honestly, that wasn't a dark time per se, but it was something I was not prepared for. I really thought I'd finish my career there, and suddenly I look up and I've still got a lot of life left to do, but I'm kind of waiting for new orders from God. But I mean, look what he does. It's just God's planning, God's timing, God's redemption, his ability to fulfill that promise in Romans 8:28, that he works all things together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. I mean, my life is certainly a walking picture of that. So yeah, I probably have as many as any other person, but what God has done through them is always miraculous and beautiful.
In light of what you said about, you expected to end your career at United, and then things kind of changed, and you've seen growth and new opportunities that you never expected through that. What would you say to LCU students who maybe are going through a time where maybe they're not sure what they're going to do, or they've changed their major and it feels like a failure for it to not be what they expected?
Right.
What would you say to those students?
Right. I would say there is no such thing as failure in those situations. If you know the Lord and you keep your eyes fixed on him, the Bible says this over and over again. It doesn't say there's not stuff out there to be afraid of. And yet, he tells us don't fear. Don't be afraid, because fear is a weapon of the enemy. It's an obstacle that gets us not to trust, and then we start trying to figure stuff out for ourselves, which is never what we want. Trust him. One day at a time. He is going to bless your path. You're his child. He has great plans for you. And he will order your steps and direct you. So just stay available, but relax. And don't ever think that there's something out there I've got to make happen. I've got to get this job. I've got to get this promotion. That's not true. Just be available to give him your best where you are today. And if you see a door you think you should walk through, then by all means, give it everything you've got to walk through it. But every day we serve at his pleasure. And he loves us, he's got us, he wants to use us for great things. And the last thing we need to do is spend any time worrying or being afraid. Just keep our eyes fixed on him, and he will sort things out in ways we never could work out for ourselves.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I appreciate what you do for the university.
Thank you for what you do for the university, and this has been wonderful.